I've sold some shares in Woolworths that I've owned for over a decade and I've made some money. That's great, right? Well, now it's time to lodge my tax return and the deadline is fast approaching and I have to declare the capital gains to the taxman and pay my fair share of tax. But wait, how much tax do I need to pay? I've owned those shares for so long and I've had the dividend reinvestment plan turned on for a good portion of that time. So I've got lots of transactions all over the place that I've lost track of. In that time, Woolworths have also had some bonus shares, demergers of petrol stations, and not to mention that silly Masters business adventure that they had to sell off because Bunnings was much better at it. How much did any of this impact my cost base of the investment, if anything, and therefore the capital gains tax I must pay on those shares that I've sold? The reason it is now so easy to recalculate capital gains or losses for Woolworths shares is 1. Shares in Australia are CHESS sponsored, meaning all of the share purchase history is recorded by the ASX using your HIN or holder identifier number. And 2, there is a really great free online platform that can extract all of this data in an easy to understand format to calculate your capital gain or loss very accurately. This share tracking platform is called Sharesight. If you haven't heard of Sharesight, they are an online portfolio tracking tool that automatically tracks the performance of investments over any period of time over many international share exchanges. You can access this tool and use many of its best features for free for up to 10 investments, which is absolutely great. I have added a link in the description below if you want to find out more about Sharesight. So once you set up your free Sharesight account, you will come to this screen first to get started with entering your share holdings. As you can see, there are 3 options and some of them are fully automated and integrated with your online broker. Now I have tried all 3 methods, but the one I have found to be the best option for my particular situation is to add my trades manually. And the reason is my transactions have been spread over a long period of time and include purchases of shares from Woolworths dividend reinvestment plan, which my broker didn't record as a purchase. This is because DRPs are issued by your investment and not your broker, so there would be likely many gaps in the information you get from your broker. So now I'm going to select the manually add a trade option. In the next screen, I need to enter the company name or ASX code, which is WOW in my situation. Then I enter the date of my only purchase of a parcel of shares, which was on the 9th of July 2003, and it was a buy trade of 43 shares at a purchase price of $12.03. I got this data from my buy confirmation, which I had managed to keep. If you don't have this detail, don't worry, as I will show you an easy way to find this too a little later on in this video. Next, I enter a brokerage of $19.99. Finally, I press the Say button and then the magic starts. In this screen, you can see a graph of the share price moving up and down on an overall upward trend, which is what you want to see as a long-term share investor. Underneath this, you can see a calculation of capital gains based on the initial purchase of shares and the dividends I would have earned if I bought nothing more over the years, showing a very healthy total return of 22.18% and a capital gain of $1,083.39. Now that's not too bad, and I'd like to point out that the percentage gain is right up there with the likes of Warren Buffett in terms of long-term total returns. But seriously, the cost of the shares is not right and the capital gains calculation would not be correct as I had elected the dividend reinvestment plan over this period and I'd acquired lots of small parcels of shares over the years using my dividend income from this investment at varying prices. As you can see here, the Sharesight website has indicated there is 36 unconfirmed transactions for this holding. I need to confirm if I received the dividends over the year as cash paid to my bank account or if I opted into the DRP or dividend reinvestment plan and got an extra parcel of shares instead of a dividend paid in cash. If I click on the holding button and then scroll down to the all income section and click on show all income, you will see a full list of all dividends paid over the years based on my initial purchase back in 2003. If I scroll down to the very first dividend and click on the edit button, a new screen opens giving me the option to click on dividend reinvested for this individual transaction. Now I need to enter the number of shares I was issued from this dividend and the price of the shares bought at this point in time. The price I paid for the share is easy to get as it is suggested below the share price field here, and you can simply click on that to determine the cost of the DRP. However, To obtain the cost of the quantity of shares or any other purchase of shares, you can get this for free online using Woolworths Share Registry Service, which is Link Market Services in this case. You can find out who the share register service for your investment is by looking on the company corporate website or on your latest dividend statement. To get the share market history, you can log into your share registry by using your HIN obtained from your broker and your postcode that you registered your shares with. Once logged in, you can click on Transaction History, and it will open up a new screen listing all the transactions since you first bought your shares and the number of shares acquired or disposed under the Change column. Make sure you update the date range to cover the full period you own the shares. Now we can go back to the Sharesight website and go through each dividend paid and allocate the number of shares acquired for each transaction, as well as using the share price suggested by Sharesight to correctly calculate the additional cost base of the asset over the years. Now, I could have avoided all of this work if I had set up a Sharesight account all those years ago. This video is not sponsored by Sharesight, and I'm only giving my opinion because I genuinely think this is a great resource for all types of investors. Now that the cost base is updated for my investment, we can now enter the sale of share transaction by again clicking on the Enter New Trade or Adjustment button, and this time I will enter a sell trade of 81 shares, which includes all of my DRP purchases on the 23rd of June 2021 with $9.50 brokerage. Then press Save Trade and you'll see the entire Woolworths investment disappear from the portfolio view because I've sold all my shares. To calculate the capital gains from this investment, Sharesight does this for you. To do this, I can go to the top menu and select Reports. Then scroll down to the Capital Gains Tax Report and click View Report. This report is also available in the free version of Sharesight, which is fantastic. In this report, you get a few choices on how to calculate the capital gains, which is in line with Australian legislation, and you get the option of minimising or maximising CGT according to Australian tax rules. This is helpful if you only have sold a portion of your shareholdings. However, since I sold all of the holdings, I don't need to change the allocation of the sale proceeds. At the bottom of this screen, you can now see the capital gain calculated with the 50% capital gains concession applied, as I held the investment for more than 12 months, so I pay tax on the remaining half only at my top marginal tax rate. You can then print a copy of the report and give it to your accountant, or use it yourself to complete your own tax return on the My Tax website. This is the next video you should watch if you want to learn more about Australian tax.